how is the green list interacting with FAA and remote ID? And how does that relationship work? So that's kind of my question. But last statement is, someone mentioned appropriations for public safety to procure these green list and or blue list systems. For a very long time, public safety thought 𝐬𝐈𝐍 was that engine, and it's not. So if there was legislative action to take a portion of that massive $350 million 𝐬𝐈𝐍 fund and allocate that towards, you know, the public safety operators that need to do this, that takes some of the pressure away from taxpayers. And I can't imagine being Brandon, Rich, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, going to my leadership saying, you know, that $1 million we spent on that entire drone fleet, can't use any of that anymore. And then lay in front of them the options that you do have. Like, that's an easy, first of all, chiefs and, you know, sheriffs, they don't care about drones, really, not yet. They're getting there, but they don't have the time or the energy to think about, do we want to go have to fundraise more? Do we have to go for grants, or is this actually an operational budget line item? These are really challenging conversations to have. So those are kind of my thoughts on, like, how do we compete as a U.S. manufacturer? And I think I am probably speaking for a few people on this call. I would love to see a high percentage of these lobbyist dollars going back into R&D and engineering and winning on product. I'm kind of a competitor by nature. Like, this is a competition. We are all in competition. And the best product is what wins in a capitalist society. And let's do that. Let's go build better products based on supply chain, based on labor. And what's going to augment this labor problem is robotics, is being able to create assembly lines that are highly roboticized, not human hands. And we talked about, how do we increase quality? Well, that's how you do it. Robots don't make mistakes like humans do building things. So those are kind of my thoughts, but I'd love to understand better the remote ID component of this, and how green list is being, put on the FAA's table.
Michael, do you want to answer that? And then Bobby, Tim, and then we'll do Rich, and then we'll be done. Cool?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So we've had a number of conversations with the FAA as we've been going through this process. As you know, remote ID is a manufacturer self-certification. So, and it's going to be required in just a few short months here, as, required as part of, any drone that's being sold. So it's certainly part of the assessment process if it's a part of a drone. But beyond that, I'm not sure I really understand the root of your question beyond that, like how specifically it would interface with green. I don't know. I mean, clearly there's connectivity, so it'll be part of the remote connectivity assessment. But beyond that, I'm not sure I understand.
No, I think you answered it. There's not much overlap.
No.
The FAA is handling UTM, Lance, remote ID. Yeah. They already have their standards in place. That's great. I was just curious about if they had any play in this, and doesn't sound like there's much.
No, we briefed them on the program. We have another briefing after Exponential. A bunch of folks from FAA will be at Exponential, so we'll get to hear about this. But right now, no.